By the way, I've got a YouDo News account. It's Mark Anabaptist, like the radical reformers who were basically slaughtered by the so-called reformers. Yeah, right. Does what I'm saying make sense to you so far, or am I making...
Well, no, I agree. I mean, obviously, the elite out there, I mean, you just look at what they do. They act like they're Christian conservatives, people like Bush and others, and even Newt Gingrich. They get up there, and Newt Gingrich is a real talking head these days, and they say, oh, we're conservative. But then they go off and do pagan rituals every summer in the Bohemian Grove Club. And obviously, they're more than hypocritical. Obviously, they're masking an agenda. It's the Infowarrior with Jason Bermas. We'll be back with your calls after this. 888-201-2244, Infowars.com, PrisonPlanet.tv. All right, folks, we are back. It's the Infowarrior with Jason Bermas. We're taking your calls. Eric in Pennsylvania. Eric, you're on the line.
Hey, Jason.
How you doing?
Somebody left me a comment on my MySpace last night. It's about this film that's supposed to come out on Tuesday. You might have heard of it. It's called Loose Change, 9/11, and American Coup.
Yes.
Narrated by Charlie Sheen?
No.
No? You did the trailer?
Well, no, I didn't do the trailer, but I've seen the movie. No, it's not narrated by Charlie Sheen. It's narrated by Daniel Sunjata, actually.
Oh, wow, he sounds a lot like him. Okay, you're talking about the electric car. They had one in 1980. Actually, one of the first cars they ever had was called a Bakersfield. In 1908, it was an electric car.
Well, yeah, no, absolutely. I'm talking about just ready for the public, but they wouldn't allow the public to buy the electric car that I'm talking about. They only allowed them to lease it. And then at the end of their option, none of them were actually able to buy their automobiles. And what they did is they rounded those automobiles up and put them into a crusher. God forbid, engineers who are working in the 90s or even in modern times today, because it is 2009, we're almost to 2010, yet another decade has almost gone by. If they were able to look at an automobile made 20 years ago with an electric engine, I would guess they could either double or triple its capacity in miles. I don't think it would be out of the realm that we could get 160 or 240 miles to a charge. Do you, Eric?
Not at all, especially with solar panels on your car is sitting in a parking lot in the sun all day. I mean, what is? I don't understand why we don't have solar panels on our cars.
Well, there are some electric solar hybrids out there, but they don't want this out there for mass distribution. Imagine a solar-powered automobile. I mean, that would be even more off the charts. How are they going to regulate the sun? Oh, yeah, they're going to block it. And, that's one of the stories I've got here, Eric. I got to get to that one. I thank you for the call. Now they're openly talking about these NASA experiments. They are shooting aerosols into the air, or particulates is another word that they use here. But when they did this new one, which I guess were rockets and not planes. Remember, the planes don't exist. Chemtrails don't exist, or prolonged contrails. No, I'm sorry. Persistent contrails is the term that Rosalind Peterson likes to use. But they don't exist on the record. But there is all this documentation about a NASA program pertaining to them. And now this is a NASA program. Scientists launched a rocket experiment aimed at creating artificial high-altitude clouds on Saturday evening, sparking reports of strange lights in the sky. And again, the Obama administration just came out 4 or 5 months ago and said, yeah, we're thinking about shooting particulates into the upper atmosphere to block the sun. And even Stern commented on it, believe it or not. And then it just kind of fell off. Oh, we're not going to talk about it anymore. And then this project came up. The project called Charred Aerosol Release Experiment, CARE. You got to love the acronym. Oh, we care so much about you. Remember, this is all about how much they love you and they want to take care of you, because that's the role of government. They took care of you so well when they allowed Factor 8 to go out into hemophiliacs to get into the populace so we could have a mass pandemic called HIV and AIDS. Okay, the hype on that is just, you look at that hype. I remember having the fear of God put into me in the 80s about how we were all going to get AIDS and die. Don't sleep with a girl unprotected. We don't really know how, you have to be very careful out there. Meanwhile, they give Factor 8 to all these hemophiliacs. Because remember, they said initially it spread through hemophiliacs as they needed, they were blood donors. No, you injected hemophiliacs with HIV and AIDS with Factor 8. And then when you got caught doing it in the United States, where did you take that Factor 8? You didn't take it off the market. Nobody got prosecuted. No one got in trouble. No, you moved it over to Europe and did the same thing. Those are the kind of eugenics programs they actually run that have been proven, folks, that are on MSNBC, on Scarborough Country. If anybody could get me that clip in better quality, I would kill for it. Or a story like it, mainstream. It doesn't have to be the Scarborough story. If somebody can point me in the direction of a better quality version of that story, I would really appreciate it. MySpace.com/Jason Bermas, Facebook.com/The Infowarrior. Back to this aerosol thing. Let's see. The clouds were intended to stimulate naturally occurring phenomena called noctilucent clouds, which are the highest clouds in the atmosphere. This was really essentially at the boundary of space, said Wayne Scales, a scientist at Virginia Tech. Now remember, the persistent contrails and the planes, that doesn't exist. But now we have NASA programs going into the upper atmosphere where they admit, yeah, we are doing weather modification and we are making clouds. Why would they want to block the sun? The sun is our life force. We need the sun, folks. It's all smoke and mirrors. It's the Infowarrior with Jason Bermas. Back after this, taking your calls. PrisonPlanet.tv, Infowars.com.